Thank you, Julie, and thanks to all of our other speakers too. We've got about 35 minutes for discussion and questions, and we have at least one roving mic that's going to come round. Feel free to say your name and something about yourself if you want to, but obviously don't if you don't want to. So can I see hands, please? Yeah, in the check shirt there.
Hello, my name's Sean. Thank you for speaking today. Really interesting to hear from you. I'm from Nottingham, and in Nottingham we actually have misogyny as a hate crime. And what I would say is that I wouldn't pin your hopes on being included in the hate crime framework. I think the hate crime framework is a joke, makes women into a joke. I think it is designed to alienate working class men from working class women. We are being raped, rape is not being prosecuted in the levels it should be, and rape is not a hate crime. But if someone calls us a slag in the street, we can report that as a hate crime with never ever any outcome. And all it makes men think is that we're so sensitive and ridiculous that we're offended by being wolf whistled at. And yeah, and that's it. The media thinks it is a joke, and it makes us into a joke. So that's my experience of misogyny as a hate crime. And second to that, I would just say, tonight we've got 4 really sound women on the bar. Lauren and Jo and Jade and Wonder Woman. And please give them some money, because 3 of them are casuals, only one of them is a full-time member of staff. So please tip them well, because they're not actually allowed to come in here and listen. They have to be out there in case we need drinks, and they've kept me really well. Yeah.
Brilliant, thank you. What we'll do is we'll take, if it's all right with the panel, we'll take a few, and then people can come back as they see fit. So there was just one there.
Slightly worried about biology teachers. Obviously they have to, teach kids facts. Are they all going to be arrested for hate crime?
Yeah. Okay, should we take some more?
More questions?
Kathleen raised the issue of the original purpose of hate crime and why we have these laws in the first place. And there is I believe, I'm not a lawyer, but I believe a distinction between hate crime and hate speech and the laws we have governing speech acts. Is hate crime working at all for any group? Is it working for combating racism in any community? Are there groups who are anti-racist groups who are talking about this in the way that we are? So I'm not aware of them if there are. So that's my first question to the panel, and just a comment on the bitter irony that it's feminists now raising the alarm over free speech and holding into drawing light and air onto the fact that free speech is being suppressed and controlled and perverted by people who want to shut us up, when we are the ones who are complaining. I use the royal we because I was too young to be around at the time. But it's feminists who were accused of being anti-free speech when we talk about pornography and the abuses and violence and degradation that is pornography. And we're now being called hypocrites when we talk about free speech, because we want to talk about how pornography is an abuse and not a speech act that benefits anybody.
Thanks very much. I know a couple of the panel want to come back straight away on that one, so Kathleen and then Julie.
Yes, thank you. I think I just want to say 2 things. Is it working for other groups? Well, prosecutions are dropping. So 1 in 10 generally is prosecuted apparently, or was last year. But 3/4 of hate crimes reported by police are racially motivated, and that includes xenophobia. I do think that there is a interesting parallel in the university context about what look like factual descriptions now increasingly being problematized as potential racism. And I mean, I make no comment on whether the factual claims are true or not, but claims that investigate things like connections between supposed intelligence and racial groups are often dismissed completely as racist immediately, although on the face of it, it looks like an empirical question. I'm just saying that there does seem to be a slippage towards more generally thinking of certain, what you might think as factual claims.
Welcome to Manchester.
Intended to be factual claims as being idealised.
Julie.
Well, I know that there's many radical lawyers in the UK who are really concerned with the hate crime legislation working for a number of white people who have used it to their advantage against black people who might refer to them being white because of the racist abuse that they've had. And then, of course, the next thing, they're down the cop shot reporting said person of colour. And why not? There's absolutely no understanding by the police or the CPS of structural oppression. None at all. So if I were to use certain speech, obviously against a person of colour, it may or may not go somewhere if they reported it, but I could quite happily trot along to the cop shop if I was given my just desserts after that. And that's why I think it's really never going to get anywhere, especially with the definition that Kathleen spoke about, which is that if you have a genuine belief in this, in fact, I don't think genuine belief is even involved, is it? It's that you perceive something to be racist towards you, then that's all that you need to say. So it's pointless.
Interesting, thank you. More questions, comments?
I wonder if you've heard of this. I had an email inviting me to a conference, a legal policy forum, about hate speech. It's on the 12th of March, and key players will be there. Professor Pendler is Commissioner for Criminal Law in the Law Commission, the Chief Crown Prosecutor, Hate Crime Champion, CPS, somebody from Stonewall, as it happens, actress under the Anti-Semitism Policy Trust, a number of people who are key movers in this sort of thing. Do you know about this, and particularly their top, will you be attending?
Yeah, we do know about it, and hopefully Harry Miller is going to go, because it's very important, because it's Chris Long, isn't it, the CPS guy, and the CPS guidelines are the most shocking single thing that has come out of all of this for me, because it's now criminalising children, and it's teaching them with worksheets how to identify the crimes their classmates are committing. It's obscene, and I agree with everybody, it doesn't work. We need crimes to be detected. We need criminals to be investigated. We've got enough without making criminals out of our children. So I really hope that Harry is going to make it to that meeting.
Yeah, we're applying as well to get a place there. I guess it all depends who's running the invite list.
I agree with Julie in that basically the problem is that the fox is in charge of the hen house. And in the one hand, men say, eat your own fault for wearing that skirt, what do you expect? But also, we have enough self-control to be in charge of the law. We know that the Centre for Women's Justice are taking the CPS and challenging them. Is there anything that we can do sort of on a grassroots level, like not telling policemen off exactly, but something constructive that we can be doing in town?
Does anyone want to come back on that? Yeah, please.
We've decided that, insofar as we can, our basic line of attack is to make people concerned that they're breaking the law. So when we approach the top 100 employers in the Stonewall Equality Index, we're going to try and put the fear of God into them, that by following Stonewall guidance, they're breaking their responsibilities under the Equality Act. When we see the police, we're going to explain to them that they're breaking the law. And our sort of consistent goal is to say that the law as it stands is being misrepresented, and therefore you need to reread it, you need to get legal advice, because you, the CPS, you, the GEO, you, the police force, you, the Department for Education, are breaking the law.
Forgive me for not being the best speaker, but I'll do my best. Right, so my name is Genevieve Simmons, and I'm a 21-year-old aspiring activist from Bolton. Now, there's a lot that's going on. We're living in a very, very toxic time right now, and I'm very, very scared for the future. And I personally, as a bisexual woman, I've been conflicted about my views for quite some time. I mean, when it comes to my perspective on like feminism, I was mostly exposed to liberal feminism and I am so but I am very glad that I met all of you here, because without you guys, I don't think my perspective on feminism would have changed, but like, you know, it's really changed over the course of like several months. And I wanted to ask the people on the panel, what would you say to aspiring, or like other inspiring young activists like myself who might be too afraid to express their views? And I also have several business cards to hand out.
Thank you. I'd say, where do you get your business cards made? I've never had one, and I'm 45. Who'd like to start on the panel? It'd be good to hear from you.
Could I? I'm sorry, I missed your name. Genevieve. It's so good to hear from you, and it's a question that I bet so many young feminists are asking exactly the same right now. And I know they are. And I've interviewed so many younger feminists for a book on actual feminism as opposed to feminism for men, so the feminism that just suits men, who tell me that they sometimes go along with the sex work is work, trans women are women, choking is sexy, being spat at and made to reenact stuff in pornography is where the liberation is. And they know women are not stupid, but a lot of women are scared. And a lot of women, I can't think of many that don't get introduced to liberal feminism to start with. And we know there are hundreds of ways to be a feminist, and most of them are wrong. and you will, it doesn't matter where you start to make direct connections with other women, whether it's in your own age group, in your own town or city, online, offline, but it's always better face to face, isn't it? But you will find that so many women come running after you to say, "Have you seen your business card?" and I feel the same. And sometimes, because of, I think, the cult-like behaviour in so many groups that pass for feminists these days, some women are actually reluctant or scared to say how they feel, but giving women the opportunity to speak, and I hate to use this, but in a safe space, is the only way it's going to be done.
I also have another question as well, like, can anyone hear me? Like, just like, you're trying to be generous. Okay. Right, so the thing is, like, when it comes to my views, I'm like, you know, I prefer to, like, you know, when it comes to expressing my views, I'm trying really hard to keep it professional, like, you know, like both, like in real real life and like on my blogs, for example. But I prefer to keep the messiness on like platforms like Twitter, because like, Twitter is a very messy platform. And also, do you think there'll ever be a time when like both sides of like the spectrum of this like civil war will ever come together to like, you know, discuss their ideas in a professional way?
Cool. So either of those questions for the panel.
I don't see why not. I think we both sides need to be sensitive to the other person's perspective and to listen as well as to speak. I mean, we can't rule that out as a possibility. And actually, I've had lots of offline conversations with people that think I'm wrong, and I try and seek them out. But it's not necessarily the best place to do it on Twitter. But you can have conversations. People disagree with you and nobody dies. It's fine. So I think that's a message we should be sending out to everybody, that it's okay to tolerate disagreement, that it doesn't have to escalate into anything else.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, our whole sort of history as the LGB Alliance has been the fight to have informed and respectful dialogue. And if you think about it, if we don't have informed and respectful dialogue, the alternative is violence.
Yeah.
I don't want violence.
No,
I want us to be able to talk to the people who are not sure. We're hoping to have our first conference open to the public in June. I hope we can have it on the 13th of June, so pencil that in, not yet confirmed. But we want to invite all the people who think that they're being really nice. We've talked about that already this evening. Let's be really nice to people. Let's be nice to trans people. A lot of these people are very well intentioned and they have not got a single clue about what is going on around them. So our job is to educate, as you say, in a calm, respectful, professional way, to listen, but never ever to not be heard ourselves. What we've seen so far is that our voices are consistently silenced. That cannot go on. So respectful dialogue is the only way forward. And by shining a light on the actual facts behind trans ideology, we will show to people that it is the tissue of lies which is deeply damaging to children and destroys the lives, particularly of young women and some young men. And by dialogue, we will expose the dangers and we will put an end to them.
Right, we'll take a few more, please. Yeah, we'll take a few.
So just on the question of transphobia, I don't actually like, I mean, I use lesbophobia and I use homophobia as words sometimes. I don't like to use them because I prefer to say lesbian hating.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of when we're talking about when you've got university policies or inclusion policies which are, you know, talk about transphobia, I think that's really, really difficult. Because no matter what they write, we're not going to be able to say anything, and anything could fit into that, like you say, with the hate crime. So, for example, like I am actually quite afraid. You know, we did a protest today against violence against women and girls, and there was some trans activists there, and I knew that they were behind a hedge, and there were some men there who weren't quite aggressive. So actually, you know, as somebody who's experienced male violence, you know, that does make me afraid. And since I've started speaking out, I started first off by saying, you know, actually I need sex segregated spaces because of PTSD. You know, I need spaces where I can go so that I can engage in public life, otherwise I cannot engage in public life. And for that I got rape threats, right? So that's exactly, you know, so what happened to me is what they were threatening me with, and that has actually made me afraid of this group of people. And the way that I've been treated and spoken to has been so
aggressive and so frightening that of course I don't like them as a group, of course I'm afraid of them as a group, of course I'm suspicious and cautious, because they've given me rape threats and they've given me violent threats and they've called me horrible names, and that's before I knew anything about this whole ideology of a situation. That was just when I was a victim of male violence and I first heard about it. So any sort of definition that they give to protect their feelings is going to make me the bad person, and that's darboing me.
Yeah.
So that is really very concerning. So I would prefer if somebody said, well, are you a trans hater? Well, no, I don't hate somebody unless they've verbally or physically abused me. So if somebody's in front of me and they have a different view, I'm not going to hate them. In fact, I ended up at a game tonight with my friend who was heartbroken and threw a load of people together I didn't know, and I was playing games with two TRAs. I came in my lesbian not queer t-shirt and you know, and it could have turned quite hostile. I mean, it was buttoned up a little bit, they could see the radical feminist part of it, and this lasted comments on it, but you know, we played the game and it was fine. But I did feel frightened, you know, sat in that room with two people who I knew would hate me. And I'm frightened that they're going to know where I live because they live only 2 or 3 streets away from me. I'm frightened that they know my name. And this is just two people who I actually played a board game with. And that's the level of fear that is brought to, especially, I would say, victims of male violence. So I don't like the word transphobia. It should be trans hate, because a lot of their actions are making women afraid. And that's why so many women could be called that, because a lot of women are actually afraid because of the abuse that they've given.
What we'll do is we'll take a couple more, because we're getting into the last sort of 10-15 minutes or so. So we'll round up a few comments and questions, and then I'll ask the panel to contribute.
Our primary school, as you're all aware about the new compulsory sex education from 2020 of gender and everything being on there, I went into our primary school to speak with our head, who is a gay man, who, surprise, surprise, when asked a couple of questions, knows full well that a penis is not a female organ. I expressed concern about our Stonewall champion school using the Stonewall toolkit and asked why that one was chosen. He simply did not know that any other toolkits exist. The schools have been so underfunded and the teachers overstretched, they just get given this information and they parrot it verbatim because they're so knackered. After sending in the transgender trend information pack, he's agreed to use it. It's that simple for me. I expect there'll be some pushback, but please, even if you don't have a child in a school, please contact your schools.
Hi. Given the presence of the cameras is going to be framed as an entirely hypothetical question. So, hypothetically, let's say there was a trans widow in the audience whose husband now had ex-husband now had a gender recognition certificate that says to all intents and purposes he should be treated under the law as a woman. And let's hypothetically say that this trans widow was not prepared to use female pronouns to describe her ex-husband because they completely misrepresent not only her personal history but also reality, then where would that trans widow hypothetically stand under hate crime legislation as it is?
Thanks very much. Before we take some more, I'll just ask the panel if they want to comment or come back on either of the three contributions.
I don't want to sit down and have a respectful, kind dialogue with people that want to kill me. It really is that straightforward. I think that there is an assumption sometimes that there are problems on both sides. And I'm not saying that there aren't some women who aren't feminists, and I don't think they're of the left, and they're mean and cruel, who don't say nasty, pointless things in order to just humiliate and hurt feelings. And I think we all distance ourselves from that behaviour, whoever they're directing it at. I completely agree about the phobia. I can't bear the use of the term phobia. It's totally inaccurate. It is so wrong to describe something like anti-gay, anti-lesbian hatred as a phobia. And quite frankly, I'm sick of everything becoming a phobia. And while I'm at it, I absolutely hate the term paedophile as well. They're child rapists, they're child abusers. Stop medicalising it.
So if you want to come back on that.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I'm afraid that the trans widow in the current climate would find herself at great risk of being, at least getting a knock on the door and accused of a hate incident. And I agree very much with what Julie says. We don't need more laws, but we need the laws we've got to work. There are laws against raping women and hurting women, and they're not enforced or applied, because the police seem to be directing their attention to the example of the trans widow, whose ex-husband will say, I feel so just terribly, I haven't been recognised, it hurts me. Well, tough shit. That should be the response. You don't get to do a Philip Schofield and tell a woman that she was your wife for 27 years and now I found I'm gay without there being fallout. For every brave and stunning person who recognises their own sexuality 27 years too late, there are the people that they have left behind. This isn't part of the criminal law. And that's where the problem is. The law is being used to try and make us nice. And I think most of us, I'm afraid, are not nice. We are a nasty species. I grew up as a disabled child and I was attacked, physically attacked by other children every day. It's kind of an animal instinct. You see something you don't like, you don't understand, you try and kill it. We are a nasty species and we have to recognise that. But what we are doing now is giving primacy to one single group. We are giving them so much power, and power corrupts. And we are seeing the results of that. So I agree totally. We don't want more laws. We want the laws we've got to work, to be objective and to be fair. And people have to start getting over themselves. Being insulted and being hurt is part of life. Deal with it. Don't call the police.
So I just wanted to say two things. One was about the trans widow situation. I don't disagree with anything that's been said. I just wanted to, I was reminded about a document I read, and I wish I could remember which organisation had written it, but I read it about a year and a half ago and I was starting to speak out, and it described, I'm afraid to say, a wife's rejection as some kind of hate. So a wife's rejection of a transitioned husband as some kind of offensive move against the trans woman. And I just couldn't believe that the empathy is just so clearly all on one side, and there's just absolutely no understanding of how it might feel to be on the other side of that, which is obviously an incredibly painful and difficult situation. The other thing I want to say about school packs, just to endorse the Transgender Trend Pack, which I think is brilliant, and it's been endorsed by the John Maddox Foundation, or whatever they're called. They put it on a shortlist for a prize, and they award science that's happening in difficult, controversial circumstances. I also want to say I don't underestimate how difficult those conversations in schools are, and I haven't told many people this, but I might as well tell you that 2 weeks ago, so about a few months ago, I donated some money to my kids' school, primary. They were leaving it, and I'd never baked any cakes. So I thought, I'll just give them some money. And then they phoned me up last week and said, we just want you to know we're really, really happy. Thank you so much. And we bought the No Outsiders programme. And I was like, oh, thank God. Because I really didn't want to have that conversation with them. I can talk to the world, but I find it really difficult to talk face to face about that stuff, especially since they are so happy because they think it's such a great thing and we're really going to understand the Equality Act, they tell me now. And so I forced me to have a conversation with them where I said, I'm afraid I don't think that they interpret the Equality Act very well, and here's an alternative resource that you might want to look at, and they took it quite well. So have those conversations.
So we've got we've got a couple of minutes left. So if we've got, say, 2 or 3 very concise ones, there's one here and then there's some at the back there. Please make it very short. Thank you.
Sure. I'm going to pass up the chance to have Julie answer my questions. And the highlight of my life so far was when Julie asked me a question last Saturday. The question was, what's in these sandwiches? But it was still the peak so far. What I'd just like to do is say thank you for coming here this evening. I think one of the fantastic things about these kind of events is it brings us together, it connects us. So actually, I'd like to say, Genevieve, we're here. Genevieve, we're here. Yeah, and the question has been, what can we do? The answer is on the wall over there. Educate, agitate, organise. I'm part of a group called Womanchester, and it's fucking brilliant, and I love it, and it's changed my life. And you can get involved in it's not really good, like, you're pretty cool. Yeah. And the rally call at Women's Day last Saturday with Kiri Tunks was, this is a movement, let's move. So let's fucking do it. Let's move.
I'm going to be very brief because the last time I was in this room, my employer told us that we're going to make the few of us redundant. Because this is really, really brief. Because it's about respectful dialogue, and Sarah was talking about social media. It's really exciting for all of us here. How many of us have been banned from Twitter? How many of us have been taken off Facebook? How can we meet each other to agitate and organise? Because face-to-face is best, but how do you get there if you're constantly banned? And how?
Okay, great, thank you.
Maybe someone from Manchester Feminist Network.
Well, maybe we could have the conversation afterwards. Yeah, just get one more.
Yeah, I agree. It's when we leave here now, where do I go? I'm a lesbian, I'm a middle-aged woman, I don't go to the village anymore, so I'm not surrounded by, what's going on. I work at university, I work in IT, so I'm surrounded by all guys. Nobody really who has the views that I have, and I'm trying to find people who have those views. Like I say, it's kind of a new thing for me, I'm getting there. But recently at work, I've got a trans woman, is it, who started at my place, and I went in the toilets of the day and he was there washing his hands, and I was just so furious. I went to my line manager, and he's basically gave me a diversity handbook. Go away and read the diversity handbook. Educate yourself, yeah. I've been in touch with Unison 2-3 weeks ago. They've not got back in touch with me. They don't want to know, basically. I've been told that the unions are not really wanting to get involved. So, do I go to HR now? Am I allowed to do that? I can't say anything. You can't say anything. If you say
Very quick response. What's your name? What's your name?
Lindsay.
Lindsay. We, LGB Alliance, are your friends. One of the reasons we formed is to say to every single lesbian, gay and bisexual who follows our fact-based views is that we exist together. And one of our goals at our first national conference in June is to set up local groups. Not us to set them up, but you to set them up. So why don't you and I get together over the drinks and talk about how we can organise locally?